Volkswagen's Tiguan eHybrid uses an established VW Group PHEV powertrain to deliver a 28-mile all-electric driving range and lots of e-drive options. It's the same sort of thing obvious volume brand mid-sized SUV plug-in competitors offer, but here the technology is delivered with a bit more polish. In short, there's lots to like if you don't mind the premium pricing.
The Tiguan eHybrid has been a long time coming. Volkswagen was talking about a PHEV plug-in version of the mid-sized SUV even before the current second-generation Tiguan was first launched in 2016 and showed a Tiguan GTE prototype to gauge public reaction. This concept car had a clever roof-mounted solar module that potentially could add around 300 further miles to the all-electric range figure, which we were eager to see. Now, sadly, that technology hasn't yet made it through to production, and it probably wouldn't be much use in drizzly old Blighty anyway. What we do have though in this finished Tiguan eHybrid is plenty of cutting-edge technology, even though the powertrain that's used here isn't that much different from the one that was first introduced in the Golf GTE back in 2014. Can it propel this PHEV crossover to the top of the class? Let's see. This plug-in petrol-electric engine is the same one that features in GTE versions of the Golf and the Passat, which means that despite all the new tech fanfare, it is based around mechanicals which the brand no longer uses in its conventional models, a 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine and a DSG gearbox with only 6 speeds. The engineers have in recent times though given this plug-in package a bigger 10.4 kilowatt hour battery which powers an 85 kilowatt electric motor, and that's why this Tiguan eHybrid's full electric driving range when it's completely charged is reasonably class competitive at 28 miles, which you won't get anywhere near if you approach this eHybrid's theoretical all-electric top speed of 80 miles an hour. This VW Group PHEV powertrain does as usual have to be paired with front wheel drive, and as ever various selectable settings govern the way that you can use it. The car always starts off in fully electrified E mode before switching to a hybrid mode which sees the electric motor and the combustion engine combining together. As part of this setting, you have a battery hold option, which will save battery charge until later in your trip, and a battery charge setting in which the battery will be charged as you drive by the TSI engine. There's also a press-on engine-only GTE mode. Even though this car isn't badged GTE, that setting enables a potential 62 miles an hour sprint time at 7.5 seconds on the way to 127 miles an hour. These sprightly figures reflect a total combined system output of 245 PS, and that's more than enough to offset the PHEV battery's 135 kilogram weight penalty. There are some neat touches too. We mentioned the battery hold option earlier. You may not need to use that very often though, thanks to the proactive navigation system. Once the route's been set, this will use GPS data and speed limits to work out how the powertrain should deploy its electrical power to best use. We also like the seamless way the engine cuts in and out when necessary, and the fact that when you need to rev it, it doesn't get as thrashy as some competitor units do. The Tiguan doesn't take too kindly to being thrown about though, but of more importance to most owners will be the supple ride and the impressive refinement. Unless you spot the extra charging flap or the distinct badging, you're unlikely to notice that this eHybrid variant is different from any other Tiguan. This PHEV variant only comes with the conventional 5-seat body style, and of course it features all the most recent Tiguan visual updates, which means you get a wide grille with an extra lower chrome strip which forges a visual link between the Tiguan and pricier Volkswagen SUVs like the larger Touareg and the huge Atlas Cross Sport model sold in North America. The standard full LED headlights which flank this appendage can feature the company's latest IQ Light matrix technology, which gives you 24 LEDs in each module. From the side, you realise that this Mark II model Tiguan is larger than it looks, more of a rival to upper mid-sized SUVs like Ford's Kuga than to smaller mid-sized models like Nissan's Qashqai. Wheel sizes start with 18-inch rims. They rise through the 19 inches we have here to 20 inches in size on the top R-Line version. At the back there are three-dimensional tail lights. Beneath these two-part lamps, the large tailgate extends to each side, while lower down there's an integrated diffuser with a granite grey metallic finish. Let's take a look inside. At the wheel there's a premium style feel you just don't get from most competing volume brand mid-sized PHEV crossovers. You sit quite commandingly and the build quality and general ergonomics are difficult to fault. Through the leather-stitched wheel you view an instrument panel that features Volkswagen's Digital Cockpit Pro 10.25-inch high-resolution screen. This customises its layout to your preference in the presentation of the two main dials, which can be configured to show everything from efficiency stats to off-road information. And you can separately individualise the display between them, and that can showcase a whole range of different data, but it looks most sophisticated when it's showing a navigation map. There are various E-specific readouts, and those you'll also find on this 8-inch Discover Media central screen. That's upgradable to 9.2 inches on request. The presentation of this display is smart, and what's behind it is equally sophisticated. It's based around Volkswagen's MIB3 media platform. This features an online connectivity unit with an integrated eSIM, which allows access into a whole new generation of in-car connectivity through Volkswagen's WeConnect media setup. Enough on infotainment. What else might you need to know about the front cabin of this Tiguan? Well, we talked about the near premium feel earlier on. Now true, if you really are being picky, you will find some lower grade, scratchier plastics lower down the dash and the door cards, but for the most part everything feels polished, classy and meticulously designed. Take these narrow and precisely worked aluminium frames around the air vents, for example. Everything else falls perfectly to hand, and predictably the ergonomics are pretty faultless. Take for example the subtle orientation of the dash towards the driver. Time to take a seat in the back. The back seat here is still one of the more spacious ones you'll find in the mid-sized segment, but the main reason we like it is that Volkswagen's integrated a sliding feature so you can prioritise either legroom or boot space behind. That's something you'll have to do without on many rivals, even premium badged ones. There's 180mm of back and forth adjustment. Headroom's fine too, although you will compromise it a little if you order the optional panoramic glass roof we have here. It's nice to note that the seat backs recline for greater comfort on longer journeys, and this central transmission tunnel here isn't as awkwardly prominent as it is on some competitors. So if you do have to accommodate 3 adults back here, things will be slightly easier for the middle occupant. Out back, boot space falls by 137 litres because of the need to place the PHEV system battery beneath the cargo area floor. That means a 437 litre boot capacity, although you can extend that via a standard ski hatch or of course by folding the 40-20-40 split rear bench. Tiguan eHybrid pricing started at just over £36,000 at the time of this test in early 2022, about £2,500 more than the price of an equivalent 2-litre TDI diesel variant. That's premium territory for a mid-sized SUV, but you do at least get decent equipment levels for that. The base trim level is Life. Good to know you can get a Life at your Volkswagen dealer, ho ho, but ideally you'd want to spoil yourself by finding around £2,500 more for the mid-level elegance trim we have here, or around £3,000 more for top R-Line spec. Obvious rivals include PHEV versions of the Ford Kuga, the Peugeot 3008, the Citroën C5 Aircross, the Vauxhall Grandland and the Jeep Compass. You'll have to pay quite a bit more for a premium badged model though, like a PHEV version of the Audi Q3, the BMW X2 and the Mercedes GLA, and they're all smaller than this Volkswagen. Also quite a bit pricier is Toyota's RAV4 plug-in and the identically engineered Suzuki Across. If it is a Tiguan eHybrid you want, then you will at least find this Volkswagen decently equipped. All variants include adaptive cruise control, all-round parking sensors, navigation and 3-zone climate control. Plus, Volkswagen also gives you its Digital Cockpit Pro 10.25-inch high-resolution TFT instrument binnacle screen. Media features on the 8-inch central screen, they're taken care of by a Discover Media navigation system. That includes streaming and internet, although it lacks voice activation. That costs extra. Plus, you'll also get all the features you'd expect at this price point, so things like air conditioning, a ski hatch, heat insulating tinted glass, auto headlamps and wipers, and an alarm. Tiguan's also feature a sliding rear bench. You'll get sophisticated app-based interaction with your Tiguan too, courtesy of the WeConnect Plus app. Now, this provides continuous interaction between the driver, the vehicle and Volkswagen via integrated SIM card connectivity. The app has navigation-based services for online voice control, online traffic information and online route calculations, along with an online destination import so that you can transfer route instructions to your Tiguan from your home or office PC before you set off. Petrol station, charging point and parking locations, they can all be accessed through the app too, along with online map updates. Plus, you'll also be able to surf the world of internet radio, enjoy media streaming and also create in this Volkswagen a Wi-Fi hotspot. The app will alert you if the car alarm goes off, it'll update you on service schedules and it'll honk the horn so you can find the car in a crowded car park. And if you've lent your Tiguan out to someone, it can also alert you if it goes beyond a preset geographical boundary or over a preset speed. As for safety, well, across the range there's a front assist autonomous braking system with a city emergency braking system built in with pedestrian monitoring. There's also lane assist with road edge recognition, dynamic road sign display, high beam assist and a fatigue sensor which senses if you're getting tired at the wheel and which will alert you to stop for a restorative coffee. If you've avoided a base life-spec Tiguan and you've gone for instead one of the pricier models, you'll also get 2 extra camera features. There's side assist, and that stops you from dangerously pulling out when there's a vehicle in your blind spot, and rear traffic alert. Now that warns you of oncoming traffic when you're reversing out of a space. All of this comes as standard with base life spec, but what if you want to go further? Well, here, as I mentioned, we have the mid-range Elegance trim, and that's identifiable by its larger 19-inch wheels and the smart IQ Light Matrix headlights. Inside, Elegance trim gets you heated front seats with lumbar support, a heated steering wheel, plus a 30-colour ambient lighting cabin setup. Of course, you might want a Tiguan eHybrid that looks a bit sportier. Lots of customers for this model line do. These people will head straight for top R-line specification, and that's recognisable by its 20-inch Misano alloy wheels, its lowered sport suspension, its integrated rear roof spoiler, and its styling pack, which gives you R-line front and rear bumpers with C-signature gloss black front air intakes, black wheel arch extensions, and body-coloured chrome-trimmed side skirts. A dynamic feel inside, that comes courtesy of sports seats, stainless steel pedals, R-line door sill protectors, carbon grey dash and door panel inlays, and Grayson cloth part seat trimming. You lose the IQ Light headlamps with R-Line trim, but instead you get a piece of technology which Volkswagen is particularly proud of, and that's Travel Assist. This is a camera and radar sensor controlled assistance system which will autonomously accelerate, brake and steer your Tiguan while maintaining a safe distance to vehicles ahead. The 28-mile all-electric driving range served up here could mean that with a typical commute, a Tiguan eHybrid owner might only need to actually visit a fuel station every month or two. Depending on the power source, charging takes place with a 2.3 or 3.6 kilowatt alternating current, When supplied with 230 volts at 2.3 kilowatts via the normal domestic grid, the battery can be charged fully in 5 hours from empty. This is reduced to 3 hours 40 minutes using a 3.6 kilowatt wall box or public charger. As for the WLTP rated efficiency figures, well, the base life spec variant manages 178.4 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 36 grams per kilometre of CO2, and that means a BIK rating of just 11%. For this elegance version, it's 151.1 mpg, 42 grams per kilometre and 13%. And for the top R-Line spec, it's 165.1 mpg, 39 grams per kilometre and 11%. Now for reference here, a comparable 2-litre TDI 150 PS Tiguan model is rated at 37%. Of course, in the real world, a Tiguan eHybrid won't deliver readings anything like those. Expect around 55 mpg in regular use, which by our calculations would be slightly better than you get from the TDI unit. A slight downside with the eHybrid variant lies with the fact that the battery's positioning under the boot floor necessitates a reduction in fuel tank size. But even so, with a fully charged battery and a full tank of fuel, a range of over 620 miles ought to be possible. So, for example, you could travel from London to Paris and back without refueling, and that sounds pretty promising. It's puzzling why it took Volkswagen so long to bring us a PHEV version of this Tiguan, given that the technology it uses has been around for over half a decade in a Golf. This powertrain will, after all, make so much sense to the sensible, conservative folk who tend to like this uber-sensible Wolfsburg mid-sized SUV. A Tiguan eHybrid can't offer you the longest all-electric driving range in the segment, but it does feel classier inside than rival PHEV versions of direct competitors like the Ford Kuga, the Peugeot 3008, the Citroën C5 Aircross and the Vauxhall Grandland. Now yes, you could get an even smarter cabin feel by opting for a mechanically very similar Audi Q3 45 TFSI-e, but that would cost a great deal more. For quite a few crossover customers who are tempted by the PHEV concept, what's served up here will be more than sufficient for their needs. It's a very complete package.